Hello, and welcome to Chapter 9 of Business 110, Motivation. Right after the chapter on human resources, and that is not by coincidence. Motivational theory kind of goes hand in hand with human resources. One of the things I like to start off by saying, and there has been tons and tons and tons of research on this. Money is not necessarily the most powerful motivating factor in a job. As long as you have enough money to pay your bills, throwing money at an employee does not necessarily motivate them to do a better job. One of the strongest motivating factors research has found is giving an employee empowerment to make their own decisions. So you will hear a lot about job empowerment, and really what that means is, let me give you an example. Ritz-Carlton, which is a very expensive hotel chain, allows employees to spend up to $2,000 on their own to settle any customer complaint. They don't have to ask their managers. All they have to do is make sure that customer is satisfied. That is an example of job empowerment. And Ritz-Carlton has one of the highest job satisfaction ratings in the hotel industry, where typically job ratings are in the toilet. So I just want to start off by saying that, just so that you all have an idea. So what I have on my screen right now is the granddaddy of all motivational theories. This is called Maslow's hierarchy. If you take a psychology class, if you take a sociology class, I don't even know where all this is taught, but you will see this pyramid in a lot of other classes. People like this because intuitively it kind of makes sense. On the bottom are the psychological factors that have to be met before you can move up this pyramid. Things like food and sleep. I always use the example hangry. You really don't care whether you're feeling that your colleagues are emotionally supportive of you if you are so hungry that you're angry. So we all can relate to that. And you go up this pyramid. Safety. If you don't have a roof over your head, you really don't care about being able to have creativity and morality. You want to have a roof over your head. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because you will see this, like I said, in a lot of other classes. It's called Maslow's hierarchy. What I want you to understand is, although this makes intuitive sense, it has been debunked by many, many research projects. And I'll just use something, the starving artist. An artist may sleep on the streets to be able to make a living selling his art, because that is what's so important to him. So that is an esteem, self-esteem, confidence, achievement. So that is an esteem level, but he's forgoing a safety level to have that esteem, or she isn't. So I just want you all to realize that even though you see this a lot, it has been debunked. But you still need to know it because it's just everywhere. You'll see it everywhere. The next theory I want to talk about is Theory X and Theory Y. And before we dive in, I also want to talk about theory, the word theory. A theory is wonderful. We can all talk about all of these different motivational theories, but a theory isn't an act. It's kind of something out there, it's It's something that you can kind of imagine, but it's not necessarily going to be true 100% of the time. So let's talk about theory X and theory Y. Theory X managers say that employees dislike work, fear is motivating, all employees prefer direction, and all employees will avoid responsibility. A theory Y manager says that work is natural, different rewards can be motivating, imagination and creativity is in everyone, and intellectual capacity is underutilized. I like to think about this theory as kind of being a continuum with X on one side and Y on the other. Because no one, I won't say no one, but rarely do you find a manager that has all of these kind of aspects. So they're somewhere in the middle between the two. So depending on what kind of manager you have, may decide how you are directed and how that person tries to motivate you. So let's go to expectancy theory. This theory says that effort equals performance, which equals reward. So let me back that up and explain. What this means is that if you put in extra effort, you will increase your performance. And when you increase your performance, you will get rewards that you find motivating. So let's break this theory down. This is where it falls apart. You put in your extra effort and nobody notices. Or you put in that extra effort and it doesn't increase your performance. Or you put in that extra effort, it increases your performance, and your reward is a 1-hour pizza party at lunch. Who cares, right? So, on paper, this makes a lot of sense. You put in extra effort, it equals greater performance, which equals rewards that you want. If it works, it's a great theory. How often does it work? So let's move on to something called equity theory. Is it fair? If not, an employee will take actions to make sure it is fair. So what does that mean? So let me give you an example. 2 employees are hired on the same day. They both have a 4-year college degree, and they both make the same amount of money. Is that fair? And I think all of us would say, yes, that's fair. So let's say 2 people are hired on the same exact day. One has a 4-year college degree. One has a 2-year college degree. The one with the 2-year college degree is hired at $10,000 more than the one with the 4-year degree. Is that fair? Well, in reality, we don't know because we don't have all the facts. That's the first thing to consider. What kind of experience does the one with the 2-year degree have? Maybe they have 5 years experience. We don't know. Let's say they do. Let's say that this person has a 2-year college degree, but 5 years experience, and the one with the 4-year degree doesn't have any experience. If we know that, is the $10,000 or more a year fair? And I think most of us would say, yes, it is fair because the 5 years experience means more. Okay, so let's go to 2 people are hired on the same day. One has a 4-year degree. One doesn't have a degree at all and has 6 months experience. And the one with 6 months experience is making $20,000 a year more. This is where it gets tricky. Do we think that's fair? So for the sake of argument, let's say that we don't think it's fair. What do we do to make it fair in our minds? As the one with the 4-year degree who's making less money than somebody with only 6 months experience. And some of the things that we can do is we can kind of back off, not work as hard, right? We can feel kind of resentful. I hate my job. They don't even acknowledge my education. Maybe you start looking for another job. It becomes very demotivating when you feel a situation is not fair. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that this is from the idea of the employee. It's what the employee feels. So maybe management thinks it is fair, and maybe somebody actually goes and talks to someone in management, and management is able to understand and explain it to them why it is fair. So let's talk about the person who is making $20,000 more a year without a college degree and only 6 months experience. They know it's not fair. What does that person do to make it fair? Do you think they're going to go to their manager and say, hey, I found out that my salary is more than somebody who's got a 4-year degree. I think you better cut my salary. Of course not. Nobody does that, okay? So what are they going to do in their mind to make it fair? So some of the things they might do is work very hard to prove they are worth that extra salary. And there's also another response to that, is that they may feel guilt. They may feel like they don't deserve that salary, and it may make them feel a little guilty. Guilt can also be a demotivating factor. So what this theory basically is, and your book goes in detail about it, and I'm not going to jump into all of the detail. You can read about it. But it's, again, from the employee's perspective, it's all about fair. It's not about being equal. Because I think we can all agree that a 2-year degree and 5 years experience is more valuable than a 4-year degree without any experience. So it's not about being equal. It's about being fair. And it's all about how the employee reacts when they find out the situation isn't fair. Now, I've spent a lot of time talking about pay issues, but there are all kinds of issues in the workplace that can relate to fairness. So it's just easier to talk about fairness. There are, I can't even tell you how many different theories of motivation there are. These are the 4 theories that I think are used probably the most, and that you will see these a lot. Your book starts off talking about scientific management, and there's a famous study where, and it's kind of an interesting study, but the bottom line of this study was that people did better just because they were being observed and in a study. I am in my office right now, and right outside my window is the weed whacker. I am so sorry if that is distracting to you. So anyway, I hope that helps on motivation, and have a great day.